The next group to lead off is Labour, and I understand John Biggs is leading on behalf of Labour. John, you've got one question and two supplementaries.
That's very kind of you, Chair. To you, through the Chair, Mr. Mayor, do you think that Ken Livingstone, your predecessor's final budget for London, was a good budget for London, or do you stand by your previous position that it was wasteful? It's got a massive amount.
I'm terribly sorry. I was dealing with a procedural matter and I didn't hear. I really am sorry.
Well, you can be forgiven for not listening to John's question. I'll tell you what it was. He was asking my views on the budget of the last mayor. If you rule that in order, then I'm happy to answer.
Mr. Mayor, sorry. If that was the question, and I do apologise to the Assembly because I really was dealing with a procedural matter and I didn't hear, genuinely. If that was your question, John, that is out of order, so can you ask another question, please?
Well, I can only ask the question that I'm ready to ask, which is about this year's budget, Chair. And
ask about this year's budget, by all means.
And I don't want you to waste my time by getting the clock ticking when I'm asking a perfectly valid question, Chair. And the question is this.
Quiet, please.
The question is this, Chair. Do you think that your predecessor, Ken Livingstone's final budget, was a good budget for London, given that it is the foundation on which you can make a claim that there will be more uniformed police officers at the end of your term than there were at the beginning, on the grounds that you have been slashing their budgets year on year?
I look to you, Dee, for guidance whether you think that pseudo question is in order.
I'm advised that is in order.
Right, let me try and explain. I mean, what I think John is trying to get at is a question about the budget set by the last mayor. I think the budget set by the last mayor was riddled with incredible waste, and it was our job to set about a root and branch reform of the system of spending in this authority. And John sat on the board of the LDA at a time when it presided over gross mismanagement of public funds. So if you ask me whether I approve of the last mayor's budget, then no, I don't. And by the way, nor do I approve of the raising of the council tax by 153%, which went on under the budget of the last mayor. Nor do I approve of the raising of fares by 10% year after year when he was. But what I will say is that, because there was a nugget, there was a crouton of substance that floated to the surface of the minestrone of nonsense from the member. What I will say
Chair, this is quite a serious matter. We're asking the mayor about how he's going to spend almost £14 billion of people's money.
Well, then you've got to
ask serious, coming out with this trivial,
you've got to ask serious and sensible questions.
And it is an abuse of Londoners' trust in the mayoralty.
Right. I think there are faults on both sides. John, you asked a very open question. The mayor is therefore giving you a very open answer. So far, so good. I do think, Mr. Mayor, that you ought to be a little less flippant. That is just my observation. And, John, will you now continue, please?
Because the foundation of my question, as you perfectly well know, is that the only grounds on which you can claim that there might be more uniformed officers at the end of your 4-year term is that the first budget was the one you inherited from your predecessor, which facilitated over 1,000 additional police officers.
Absolutely.
I'm still asking the question.
Well, can I just say,
I'm still asking the question, and the question for you then is this: that you're now boasting that you have put 41.9 million extra into policing out of taxpayers' money to help preserve numbers. Do you feel comfortable, given that half of that is simply restoring a cut that you took in your previous two budgets?
I think
that's the question. Can you answer the question? That's what you're here to do.
My answer to you, John, if you'll allow me, is that the budget of the last mayor, which you started on, was, in my view, grossly wasteful. We were able to hack back a lot of completely pointless spending and direct resources where Londoners want to see them spent. And I think that you have been, if I may say so, wrong-footed by the ability of the MPA and the ability of Kit Malthouse and others to redirect funds into the front line and to get more police out there where the public want to see them. And I know that you're obliged, if you possibly can, to credit this achievement to the last mayor. It is absolutely stupefying that you, 3 years on, you think it credible that we've been able to put more police officers out on the street at the end of 2012, thanks to a wasteful and profligate budget set by the last mayor. But if you want to continue in that delusion, then I think that you are, well, I won't say you're an apple short of a picnic, but I do think that you need to go away and look again at your arguments. By serious reforms of the police budgets and by wise manipulation of the LFIPA reserves, we are able to get more police officers out on the street now and indeed in 2012 than there were when I was elected. And I think that is very, very important. And by the way, just to go back to the point that I think that Jenny was making.
No, you're answering a question from John.
Well, I will make it anyway. Insofar as this year's headline figure is 33,000, that represents the police establishment, doesn't represent the actual number.
Yes, but you've got to be fair. You're answering
on
John's question in Labour time, so you can't go backwards and forwards.
Well, I think it'd be greatly to the advantage of John to know this. And indeed, it's important for Londoners to understand that in spite of the real financial difficulty that we've been placed under, thanks, by the way, to a fiscal crisis caused entirely by the hopeless policies that they supported. I mean, let's get that point across. Because, in spite of the very difficult financial circumstances we find ourselves in,
the fiscal crisis,
we are able to increase spending on police. Not only that, the acid test of our success is that we've been able to continue to drive down crime in the face of one of the most severe recessions in the last 50 years. For that achievement, I pay tribute to the Metropolitan Police Service and everybody in the MPA.
Now listen very carefully. I will say this only once. Do not speak over each other all the time, because it is very difficult for anyone who's trying to follow this remotely to be able to understand what's going on. You just can't hear. So please, one question and then one answer. John, you've got another supplementary.
I think we know that Londoners find Boris Johnson quite charming, but I think they will also recognise that he's incapable of answering questions, Chair. And
your question, John.
What is your question?
The problem is that the previous mayor was very clear that there's an opportunity cost, which is if you don't collect people's taxes, you won't be able to spend them on services. And I think, frankly, you should be ashamed of the duplicity.
That's not a question, John.
Okay, right. Well, let's go to the nub of the question, which is in your Evening Standard article on the 10th of February this year, it was written very cleverly, so it doesn't actually tell a mistruth, but it creates the impression that more is less, by which I mean police numbers are going down by over 1,000 this year.
You mean less is
and
more?
Were it not for the fact that you have unfrozen recruitment in the 11th month, it's a bit like this as an example, Mayor. If you were to starve someone for 23 hours of the day and then give them a beefsteak at 3 minutes to midnight, you could then argue at the end of the day that they were getting food into their belly. But the reality is that you have been overseeing a reduction in police officer numbers this year, and that is not being reversed by your unfreezing of recruitment. Is that not the case?
Just to go back on what I take to be the substance of your point, which you think that we somehow
it is offensive,
froze.
Chair. It is offensive, Chair.
John,
for this man
you've had your question now.
I don't think I should have to sit here and listen to this sort of gibbering of
outrageous. This is outrageous.
Can I just try and get to the point, rather than him endlessly interrupting and barracking when I try to answer his
Actually, you're both as bad as each other, Mr.
Well,
Mayor,
I think
so
I don't agree.
You're a shameful disgrace, you are.
Right, can you just answer the question, please? And John, can you please stop talking over the Mayor? He's now answering his question. I will name you if you continue, John.
You cannot be bothered. You cannot be bothered to research your time for Mayor's questions, and you then fluff your way through.
John, I'm telling you.
Abuse the good trust of Londoners, which should be placed in this.
Right, you're on a last warning, John.
It is disgraceful.
You are on a last warning. You continue to interrupt. I will name you and have you removed from the chamber. Mr. Mayor, will you please answer the question?
Well, I can appreciate the anger of the Labour Party because
answer the question.
They have been, I think, confounded in their expectation that we were going to cut police numbers. As I said, by intelligent reform of the MPA budgets and by using the reserves that are available to us from LFIPA, we've been able to increase police numbers this year and next year. And I think that's a very, very important thing to do. And I might point out, I know that there are complaints about the.
Excuse me.
That is a barefaced lie, Chair. It is a barefaced
John,
lie.
I'm sorry, I warned you. I am
lie.
now going to suggest to the Assembly that the member be not heard. I need to put that to the vote. Can I see those in favour of John Biggs not being heard? Please show.
11, 13, 14, 15, Chair.
And those against?
But what does it
Thank
mean,
you.
though?
7.
I think that means you need to leave the chamber.
Is that right?
Or not be heard. Certainly not be heard.